Little bit of positive momentum for you all during this crypto freeze. Pay attention because it will end and we will enter into a utility-driven crypto bull market.
In issuers, and I don't think this is decades off. I think this is years off, and I think we're going to start to see it accelerate, particularly with a tighter regulatory framework.
So there you have it. That confirms that in just a few years' time, things will start to accelerate and the crypto bull market will be run off utility and not hype and speculation. When that happens, XRP will definitely soar to the moon. Due to its use cases, Ripple is transforming Australia's payment systems through Novelty. Novelty leverages Ripple's global payment solution to make cross-border transactions between Australia and Southeast Asia faster, simpler, and more secure, using XRP as a bridge for instant payments. So that confirms that XRP is being integrated worldwide. And we can see that again from Jack the Rippler. Boom! Brad Garlinghouse said that some of the largest SWIFT-enabled banks in the world are now using Ripple's technology. And we can see that here. We've got Bank of America, Santander, BBVA, SEB, and many, many more massive banks. They will flip the switch to on-demand liquidity to XRP in the near future. It's all about flipping the switch. And when this happens, Ripple will be taking over Swift. The former member of Swift even joined Ripple and admitted that Swift isn't the solution for the Internet of Values. And Brad Garlinghouse has called Swift a competitor developed over 50 years ago. So it's slow and expansive. Let's take a listen to this.
Day-by-day basis is in fact taking over Swift in that, we've now signed up, well over 100 banks. Some of the largest Swift-enabled banks in the world are now using Ripple's technology. Just last week we saw a remittance company who's using Ripple's technology. They reduced the price per transaction to their consumers from $20 per transaction to $2 per transaction, and they saw an 800% increase in usage overnight. That's the type of dynamic that Swift isn't able to support that we're able to address right now. And one of the former board members of Swift, a gentleman Marcus Treacher, joined our team to run all of customer success. And, this was, a former board member from Swift coming over and saying, hey, we don't think Swift's going to be necessarily a solution to really unlocking this Internet of Value. These are, marks along the journey. Now, Swift is kind of a competitor. It's slightly more complicated than that because Swift is really just messaging. When you send a Swift transfer, it's not liquidity. You're actually sending bank messages to banks that have liquidity. So to some degree, Citibank and HSBC, really the top two, JPM, those are the top three liquidity banks. And when you're sending Swift messages, you're sending messages to banks to release liquidity and making sure the debits and credits match. So to some degree, really boil it down, Ripple's competing with the liquidity of Citi and the messaging of Swift, but in one, because we're both messaging and liquidity. And at the end of the day, again, as I described, Swift was developed 50 plus years ago. It architecturally hasn't really changed. It does remain slow, days. It does remain, relatively speaking, expensive. And actually, interestingly, it's quite error prone.
So as you heard, Ripple is competing with the liquidity of Citi and the messaging system of Swift, but in one, making XRP the best of both worlds, and it's definitely going to explode.